And with Ronald Reagan, the money dried up. And we raised our first poll that we took. I fasted for 16 days, just drinking water in front of the federal building. And I raised $100,000, the most money had ever been raised by a gay group. And it was just, and I said, I'm going to take a poll. I want to find out what Californians think and how we're going to win this. When the poll came in, had my committee built off, and they said, we can't win this. I said, well, I don't read it the way you do. It says what we need here is a Roman Catholic mother with 13 kids, is a PTA president, I said, who lives in the San Fernando Valley, who just thinks gays are wonderful. I said, that's what we need, this thing says. And somebody laughed, you know, and they said, well, who are we going to get like that? I said, Del Evans, Roy Rogers' wife, a Christian who believes that gay people can know the Lord and they don't have to change. You know, I'm thinking like this. My committee bill is off, and we start the work. But by God, I was able to raise with other people. We raised $1.5 million, which was a lot of money back then. And our last fight, we raised $44 million. It was the most spent on a proposition in American history. Was this one to overturn the marriages in the state of California by the citizens?
Just hold that.
Proposition.
What you may or may not know is that Troy's marriage in Canada, he then sued the state of California to recognise it. And the Supreme Court in California said, oh yes, of course. So marriage licenses will be given now galore.
Well, let me tell you a little different.
Yeah.
First we go to the first court, the Superior Court. One judge. The judge is a Roman Catholic. I go online, you know, all of us do anymore to check out people. And he went to Mass every day, so he's a good Catholic. When we got to the court, the tension was so high, but he walks in and he broke the tension by making us laugh. And then he said, I'm going to rule on this case on the Constitution, not emotions. You know, he said, and I completely relaxed and said, I'm going to get my day in court. He ruled in our favor. It went to the Court of Appeals. It took 2 years to go there. Court of Appeals. 2-1 against us. I knew it would. I mean, I knew the middle court was going to rule that way. Then we go to the state Supreme Court. 2 years later. Again, you could cut it with attention. My God, they're in San Francisco. The judges they meet in 3 places, LA, San Francisco, and the state capitol. But they're in San Francisco. So the others, I mean, sometimes our community and their community, you've got radicals on both sides. I mean, not just civil rights leaders, but they want to kill each other in the streets and to calm people down, you know. I mean, it was just that. So here we go. And I spoke in the Castro the night before the court hearing, told the men, I mean, you know, I get up in the big rah-rah, but I couldn't help it. All these young gay people who hadn't been in demonstrations like I had. I said to him, you know, I'm in my 60s, and I said, promise me something. If I don't live to see it, that we win, promise me you're going to fight for our rights. If I die tomorrow, somebody pick up the mail. And, you know, we went to the Supreme Court the next day. It was the most amazing hearing. And I'm good at reading body language. My attorney hated it. I ended up with the most famous female attorney in the world, in my country, Gloria Aldrich, who is famous. I mean, she is a civil rights attorney. And she called my home and said, Reverend Perry, a friend called me and said, Troy said, Gloria wants to take it. She said, they'll take our case for pro bono. I said, whoa, close enough to speaking in tongues for me. That means free. So I said, this is it. And she offered and she accepted the case. And she has this high power. I mean, we go to the Supreme Court. The other side were so awful. I mean, I couldn't believe it, but the judges, it was amazing. These stupid people didn't do what I did. I knew who the judges were. I made sure I knew where they were from. This idiot gets up and attacks the Supreme Court. One of them said, you look at Holland. First thing he said, look at Canada. Look at Spain. She said, no. He said, look at Holland. I'm sorry. And she said, yes, let's look at Canada and Spain too, and also all the countries that have marriage. And she said it in the Dutch accent. She's a naturalized citizen from Holland. And he's attacking Holland. That's how crazy these people are. And once we heard it, and I went out there saying we've either won 5-4, 4-3, or 5-2, or 4-3. And my attorney said, "Don't say that, don't say that, don't say that." And I said, the reporter walked up and I said, "Oh, we've won." Not one of those kind of people. The reporter, "Oh, you have?" I said, "Yes, I have." I said, "I can tell you now, this is going to be long. We've won." And the attorney, "Don't do that. They don't like it, the Supreme Court, if you try to predict what the outcome is going to be." I didn't care. I mean, it was beyond that with me. But I knew we'd won. And sure enough, we were in our attorney's office when CNN announced we had lost. You talk about giving you a heart attack. And the attorneys came and said, "No, they don't know. Because we can't even, nobody can get up the ruling because everybody has collapsed the server of the state trying to get the ruling." And then in 10 minutes they came in and said, "We've won." And of course all the reporters, my God, everything. It was so amazing. I mean, just,
So that allowed gay marriage?
So that allowed gay marriage in California. Philip and I were the two women won our lawsuit.
Yeah.
I wanted that to be my last civil rights fight, which it never works that way. You know what I mean?
So
it never
is
is.
it legal to get married now in California for gay people?
We're waiting. Now let me tell you what happened. 18,000 couples married. Those are all legal. But then the citizens didn't write in to take away the marriage rights, which they knew the citizens wouldn't vote for that. But they did it trying to. They'd taken our rights away as citizens. Well, we lost it barely.
You can have a referendum in California.
A referendum.
Any law.
But we're shocked because now we're suing to say the citizens, when the Supreme Court, the highest court in the state, makes a decision, how can the citizens move in? Because it's happened before, during integration. Same thing happened to the black community. The citizens undid what the Supreme Court didn't say, you can't do that, and it took the Supreme Court of the U.S. to say, oh no, you can't. So here we're waiting now for our case to be heard by the Supreme Court of the United States.
When will that happen?
We don't know, because we're waiting right now for, it's going to go, it looks like, directly to the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court will probably say, got to go to the Court of Appeals. Well, we won. We won. All the judges, the federal judges, have found in our favor. And we're now waiting for the Supreme Court, but our court, it takes a while. And so it could be another probably 4 years before we know. And of course, at this age where you may not live to see. But, thank God, those young people heard me and they're going to continue the struggle and the fight. And I was so pleased to see young people for the first time demonstrating. The poor Mormon church, they bankrolled this along with the Catholic church. But the Mormons really did it, which has hurt them all over again. Americans, Matt Romney is running for president. Also, John Huntsman, both Mormons. We've never had a Mormon president. We've only had one Catholic president. I mean, it's the Protestants, even though the Catholics are the largest church in the country, still the Protestants outnumber the Catholics in America, but they're very close to being the same. And they just, it was that kind of thing where they bankrolled it, and then thousands of gay people marched on the Mormon temple in West Hollywood. And of course, we older folks are saying to the young ones, please don't go over their fence. 3 kids jumped over the fence. I said, that's what they want. They'll try to say they're being persecuted. And they were persecuted in America. That's why I can't understand why they do this. But it hurt them. Just a few months ago, the city council in Salt Lake City had a big debate on whether to add gay and lesbian rights. And of course, the majority are Mormons. The president of the Mormon church called them and said, pass it. In other words, yes, I don't want them saying they can't work for a living. But marriage is only for heterosexuals. And we had kids who carried signs, the founder of your denomination had 33 wives, I only want one husband. It's true. Joseph Smith was still with 33 women. Brigham Young was married absolutely to 12 Beehive House. If you ever go to Salt Lake City, you see where his wives all live. And, you know, the little blackboards where he marked which one he was going to sleep with, you know, each night or whatever.